Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me, as always, my good co-host, Ian.
Ian.
And joining us, as per usual, is my other interesting co-host, Mud. How you doing?
Thanks.
What is this show? Was that Kermit?
I don't know. You said it was interesting.
What is this? What is this show, you might ask? Well, every other week we sit down and watch a Best Picture winner and determine one of the best or worst pictures as compared to the other ones. And this week, we're talking about the 22nd Best Picture winner ever, which is, of course, the 1949 hit classic, All the King's Men. And to start us off, Mud has collected some fun facts about the film, which Ian and I have not heard ahead of time. So, Mud, take it away.
Thanks, Jake. So, calling it a 1949 film might be a bit of a stretch. It was released on November 8th, 1949 in New York City, the 16th, so 8 days later, in Los Angeles, and then the vaguely defined, quote, January 1950, quote, for general audiences.
It did the thing that the Oscar movies do, where they release in 4 theaters for 13 minutes across the whole globe and go, we came out this year.
Oscar nomination, please, because we don't want to actually pay money for our marketing campaign.
So fucking stupid.
I hate that shit.
I hate that shit.
Yeah. So it did the thing, and it won by doing the thing. So I think this movie started the trend. As for its ratings, it has a 7.5 out of 10 IMDb, 95% Rotten Tomato critics, 78% Rotten Tomato audience.
Great.
Mm-hmm. It was directed by Robert Rosen. He made a lot of films.
Are any of them good?
No.
Okay.
Wow.
None of them I cared enough to talk about.
That was instant. I don't like that.
Well, no, he made a lot of stuff. I didn't really look too hard. He made a lot of films for Warner Brothers, and then he went to Columbia because he picketed against Warner Brothers in the 40s. He had a very long and complicated relationship with filmmaking. I think I read that he disavowed the idea of filmmaking and basically quit.
Oh, he was like, oh, theater is the way to go. Idiot.
I don't know about that, but I think he was more like anti-producer practice.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's fine.
I don't know. I didn't read too far into it because I was more focused on getting information for the film.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. This film stars Broderick Crawford. He was in a lot. But the film I picked to say, like, oh, he was also in this, was called Lone Star.
It was a cowboy movie, right?
I don't know. I didn't read about it.
Okay.
But it did co-star Clark Gable.
I love Clark.
Yep.
Good.
As for a fun fact about him, he was, and I'm bringing this straight from his personal life section on Wikipedia, known for eating large meals.
That's just in there?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Kind of
Well, it was
rude.
talking about his health problems later in life, and one of the notes was like, yeah, he ate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Which can...
Imagine having a Wikipedia article and in subtitles it's just like, you fat fuck.
That would be
That's
my...
basically what it is.
Dude, we had a big meal before we started this, so I agree. Next actor is John Ireland. He
Till he
directs...
found the country.
Inventor of Ireland.
Inventor of Irish people. He is known for directing a film called The Fast and the Furious.
What?
In 1955.
Oh, that really threw me.
How
Geriatric 90-year-old man directing The Fast and the Furious.
I didn't know that was a movie pre the movie.
Yeah.
Completely
Different
unrelated. Yeah.
He was married to Joanne Drew, spelled D-R-U. She's also in this film.
Okay. Famous guys and their wives being in films together.
Yep. And lastly, Mercedes Mccambridge,
Okay.
who was once called the greatest living radio actress by Orson Welles.
Ooh, okay. That's high praise.
Yep. So she was very well known for her voice. In fact, she has a very, very famous, or should I say infamous, voice role.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. The demonic voice of the child.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yep. So, that pretty much wraps up our leading members and the director. So let's move on to some fun facts about the film. John Wayne,
Oh,
of John Wayne fame, was originally offered the lead.
okay. I feel like that would have made it worse.
He said no because I'm not a cowboy in this one.
Well, Ian, he turned it down because he found the script, and I'm quoting, unpatriotic.
Ah,
End quote.
not enough of America.
Yep.
I'm not a cowboy in this
That
one.
means the movie is pretty good, actually. If he didn't like it.
Paul Tatara, a film reviewer for CNN, described the film as, quote, one of those pictures that was saved in the editing, end quote.
Okay.
Because the original cut of the film was 250 minutes long.
Holy shit.
It's what 150 right now or 170?
180 is 3 hours.
Yeah, I think this one's just below 2.
4 hours and 10 minutes. was the original cut.
Oh my
4
God.
hours?
And 10 minutes.
I'm so glad we didn't have to watch all the King Snyder cut. Jesus Christ.
I mean, there is a chapter in the Snyder Cut called All the King's Horses.
A direct reference to the original length of All the King's Men.
It's because Rosin had a difficult time cutting anything he shot.
You gotta kill your babies, man. I mean, come on.
Casey Anthony took that one to heart.
Of course, with 8 nominations and 4 wins for the evening, the highest awarded and nominated film for 1949 was naturally The Heiress.
Not the one that won. Okay,
Nope.
cool.
And this will become clear why I said this in a minute. But A Letter to Three Wives only won in 2 categories, though it was nominated for 3.
Okay.
So for the Academy Awards, Crawford won Best Actor. Some of his competition included Gregory Peck for 12 O'Clock High.
Gregory Peck of last movie where he was a banger one?
John Wayne for Sands of Iwo Jima. And for the film champion, Kirk Douglas.
Oh, famous ancient man.
Famous dead man. Yeah. It also won Best Supporting Actress for Mccambridge. For nominations, it was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, but it lost to A Letter to Three Wives. Another film that lost to Best Screenplay, or to Letter for Three Wives for Best Screenplay, The Bicycle Thief.
Ooh.
Yeah, like the iconic, like Italy neo-realist film.
Yeah, that movie is on my favorites of all time list.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Side note, Bicycle Thieves won Best Foreign Film that year.
Deserved every single title that year.
It just won. There was no nominations. It just won.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
But yeah,
There was no nominations. It just
I
won.
found that fascinating that a foreign film was nominated for Best Screenplay.
But did it get nominated for Best Picture?
No.
Wow, I wonder.
The Academy watched it and they were like, "Oh, don't even nominate other movies. This is just this one."
Yeah. Well, that's how a foreign film was back in the day.
I thought
Yeah.
it should be
No
now.
nominations, just win.
And we threw the country an Oscar, therefore it's fine.
Yeah. But I found that fascinating because in '49, you wouldn't think they would start recognizing foreign films outside of this is the best one from the others.
Yeah.
You know. As for Best Director, which was also nominated for, they lost to Joseph Mankiewicz, not to be confused with Mank.
I was about to say, that's
Oh,
not
Mank.
Herman Mankiewicz.
That's not Herman Mankiewicz. For A Letter to Three Wives. Remember how I said it only won 2 awards? It also lost Best Film Editing to Champion, the film that was described as being, quote, saved in the editing. Lost Best Editing. And Ireland lost Best Supporting Actor to an actor named Dean Jagger.
The father of Mick.
No, I looked into it. I was kidding. For 12 O'Clock High. The film was released by Columbia Pictures, which isn't surprising because Rosin worked with Columbia later in his career. For the Best Picture win, it beat out The Heiress, A Letter to Three Wives, 12 O'Clock High, and a film called Battleground. And finally, in October of this year, Love Happy was released, which was the last film to be produced by Mary Pickford.
The last one?
Mm-hmm. I can't wait for the year that we review the Best Picture that came out the same year that Mary Pickford passed away. You guys are going to be devastated.
We're gonna be devastated.
It's gonna be like next fucking year or some shit.
I don't think it's that close. But you guys are going to be like, Hollywood groundbreaker and famed fascist woman, Mary Pickford.
Famed racist, fascist woman, Mary Pickford.
I want to point out, I found a fun fact just because I Googled the movie because I like to get the information on while I watch it. The tagline on the poster is calling the movie, its own movie, a vital, very great motion picture. Can you imagine if movies were like, yeah, we slap, we're such a good movie?
The name of our channel is Hot Quality Content.
Because we
bro.
are.
We are none of those things.
We're content.
We are content.
I said it's hot, and it's
It's a quality.
I said it's content.
Are you guys excited for this one? I'll give you a hint. I'd rather watch the Gregory Peck movie.
I will say, based on my research, I'm starting to be able to like predict when they're going to be a bad one.
And are you predicting
I'm
bad?
predicting this is going to be a bad one.
Okay, I'm gonna predict that this is gonna be mid. Ian, what do you think? It's gonna be the best movie ever.
I'm gonna predict that it's better than Hamlet.
Well, yeah.
That's wow. Look at that bar sitting on the ground. It will be hard. To
There
get
literally
that.
is no bar.
All the King's Men has been watched. How do we feel?
I feel indifferent.
I'm very. I have a lot to say.
I have a lot to say, but the only problem is I can't say a lot of it without getting political.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, No, I can say a lot about it in terms of filmmaking.
Yes.
Yeah, but in
Because-
terms of the story,
Yeah.
and there's a lot to say about the story of this film.
Fair, but I guess I'll just dive directly in then because every time a screenwriter adapts a book to the screen, they use excessive narration. Way to tell, not show. Every single time.
Yeah, it happens a lot in this movie.
So
much.
One of them, it was only like 2 or 3 times that you were like, it only happens a couple times, so it's annoying. This was like 8.
Yep.
Every scene started with narration.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're a writer and you're adapting it for a visual medium, which is of course a movie, then you can do it in a more clever and creative way.
And, like,
Any other way.
It's
And
the
they-
writer's fault.
They used the narration to really skip over a lot of stuff that really would have been
Oh
Yep.
my god.
super important.
All right. Can I talk about like the biggest negative? This movie, you remember how during the fun facts, Mud was talking about how it was 4 hours and 10 minutes long? And we got like the fucking Dragon Ball abridged version of the movie.
We did. Dude, okay, that's my biggest point. One word to describe the movie, I would use abridged. I think
There's a whole second movie in here
right.
Yeah.
between Acts 1 and Act 2.
Because
Yep.
you want to talk about we all have something to say about the pacing.
Oh,
We want
it's
to talk about
terrible.
pacing.
Bad.
There are fast montages that are like half of 3 seconds long, intercut with incredibly slow scenes. It's like the pacing of the entire story keeps jarringly shifting, and it's really
I
frustrating.
think when they say this film was saved in the editing, I think what they mean is this film was born out of the editing. Because I really feel like this is 2 different movies that
Yeah.
were slapped together.
Saved. This, I wouldn't consider this saved. Like,
yeah. I would
dude.
say whatever 4-hour version this guy had, I'm going to say it just like Zack Snyder,
don't release the
it
cut.
probably would have been better.
I would like to watch the 4-hour cut.
I agree. I think whatever scene context is missing would be put back because I'm
There's-
just not understanding a lot of what's happening.
There's
that's true.
there's a whole character shift with the main character of Willie Stark
Yeah.
between
Yes.
Act 1 and Act 2. So in Act 1, he gives this really impassioned speech to a crowd about how he wants to become governor because he's tired of being taken advantage of by the powers that be. And he was being taken advantage of up until that moment by the powers that be.
Yep.
You know, like these guys had him running for governor because he thought he could win. But in reality, these guys encouraged him to run for governor to split the vote. Like they were using him as a decoy. And the character of Sadie says as much. You're a decoy. You're here to get just enough votes to take down the opposition. And after that, he gives this really impassioned and honestly a really good speech about how like the poor people are always getting fucked by the upper class, and like he's not going to stand for that, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's-
Fantastic. Then, through narration, we're told that he loses the election but wins the heart of the people, and he runs for election again, but in the 4 years in between, he becomes a corrupt politician.
Yep.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, it's
There's your movie you could have had.
yeah. Honestly, this movie. What was the? There was another one where I was like, all the stuff they skipped over is more interesting than the actual fucking movie.
Emile Zola?
Yeah, that's the movie that I'm deciding if it's better or worse than. By the way,
Yeah.
because
We all-
spoiler, this one's not good.
After finishing the movie, we all discussed where it would end up on our overall rankings, which is every film we've seen, not just by decades. And all of us were like, is this better or worse than Emile Zola?
Yep. and
Which
it
is
was
funny
right at
because
that
I don't think
bar.
we all have Emile Zola in the same
We
spot.
don't. We disagree a
We
little
have
bit.
it close to the bottom.
We all have it close to the bottom. But
Yeah.
like that specific movie, hard to compare. But yeah, to go off of something you said, there is a banger speech about a half hour into the movie. It's that speech you're talking about. And it's also the one on the thumbnail for the video, by
Yep.
the way. I remember making it. Yeah, that I heard what the hell's his name? Crawford?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Broderick Crawford. I heard his voice and recognized it from like 3 years ago when we watched The Black Cat for the Universal Monster Thon.
1941 or 1930, whatever.
45-ish?
41. I think it's
40s.
41.
One of the 40s ones. And he was the dude who talked so fast, I overlaid it with Rap God's instrumental.
Go check out that video.
Check out the video.
Watch it.
Yeah, no, so I spotted him. But also, it's
was
kind
really
of
good.
it's kind of funny to talk about this voice and stuff, but his voice was carrying those words. I mean,
Yes.
damn.
It's a power. Like, I understand why he won Best Actor.
Me too.
That
Yep.
speech is
Very good.
powerful.
Yes.
For all the shitting on the movie we're doing, yeah, no,
Yeah,
he
no.
is easily one of the best
I have
parts.
good things. The acting is really good. Jack is pretty solid throughout the whole movie, honestly. I actually
Yep.
didn't hate him. And Broderick Crawford, who's playing Willie, is phenomenal. He's actually really, really good.
I think
Everyone else is very forgettable or whatever,
Yeah.
bland, but those two carry it.
the film has some tonal problems at the very beginning because, like, I don't know, maybe this is just our modern brains that are not Red Scarified, but, you know, they're presenting Willie and he's giving all these speeches about empowering the poor, but, like, the imagery we get and the
Fire and
music,
brimstone,
yeah, it's fire and brimstone.
It's
And
really
like the
bad.
music that backs it up is very doom and gloom. And we were sitting there and we're like, is this supposed to be setting up as a good guy or bad guy? And ultimately the film takes the stance of this guy's an awful person,
Yep.
Yeah.
but it takes such a confusing route to get there. Willie has the same. There's a character in a film I want to bring up called
Dick Cheney from Vice.
It's no, Jesus Christ, no. That movie's bad, and if you like it, you're wrong.
Yeah, Caleb. sorry.
Shout out to our friend Caleb, friend of the show. He liked Vice, and he's wrong. So
Sorry.
there's a movie that I always think of when it comes to these like fall from grace films called City of God. I don't know if either of you have seen it.
Never heard of it.
It is fantastic, and it's a film about a I believe it's a South American like poor village.
Okay.
And how like this like one gang member runs the city, and how everyone tries to survive under their rulership because it's a slum of slum proportions. And one character who's like the moral good character is like, I'm gonna do something about this, and basically starts gang warfare. And there's this one montage.
I'm the good character.
No,
gang
that's the
warfare.
thing though. Is like there's this one montage where the character, you're gonna hate me for saying this, Jake, but he narrates over and explains how like running this war, he became the thing he swore to destroy. You know, the classic like,
Yeah.
you know, you become the evil to destroy the evil. But you see how it happens. Like first off, he's like, we don't kill innocent civilians, right? That established the idea. Second fight, innocent civilian tries to shoot at him, and one of his gang guys like tries to kill him back, and he's like, nope, we don't do that. Reinforce the idea. Third encounter, innocent civilian shoots one of his guys. The good guy retaliates, kills him. And
I mean, if you're to go off that point, if you're an innocent civilian shooting people, are you as innocent?
yeah, but that's the point.
Yeah.
Like, I think that... Oh, no, I got it wrong. He killed somebody in the second and the third one. The second one was the accident. The third was on purpose. Because the narrator says, in the first fight, there was a rule. In the second fight, there was an exception. And in the third fight, the exception became the rule.
Yep.
Rule of three. We've talked about it a lot on this
We
show.
love
Because
the rule
these...
of three because it's good storytelling.
It's good, simple storytelling. It's the easiest and most effective thing. And
It's a
just because
triangle. Triangle's the best shape.
just because it's simple doesn't mean it's bad. And a lot of these movies are missing this. So, there was no rule of three in Willie Stark's character arc.
No.
There's a
It got
confusing...
off screen.
There's
Off
a very
screen, there was one.
confusing
Yeah.
establish the idea because the words he's saying are reasonable. You know?
Whoa, not to Americans now.
Yeah, you're right. Not to this dirty socialist. But in the sense of like he's giving this speech of like, hey, I'm one of you. I got fucked over too because I'm poor
Yes.
and they look down on me. That's the classic appeal to the masses
Yes.
any politician does. And then 4 years go by and he's being paid off and he straight up looks, acts, and sounds like a mob boss.
Right.
He's like calling hits on people.
He
has
calls
multiple
for
people killed.
Which is funny because when the movie starts, he's just like saying speeches on the corners, and there's a mob, like mob enforcers, pseudo mob enforcers that come and beat him up.
Yep.
That's how the movie opens. That's how Jack meets Willie.
Yep.
Is he meets this guy giving a speech to people, and these guys come along and rough him up and take Jack's camera and take Willie's pamphlets.
It's interesting how he becomes the thing he wanted to take down, but we don't see the transition, so it's not interesting.
No, he's not the same character Act 1 to Act 2.
Yeah. If we got the slow progression, I would have appreciated it, but we don't.
That's the movie
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yep.
Like there's a second movie in between Act 1 and
It's
Act 2.
hidden behind the movie in the narration.
Yeah. The narration's its own movie.
Yeah.
And the change is just such a heel turn. And it's so
I
quick.
agree.
And he has no self-awareness of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Where it's like, dude, you are so comically evil.
Yeah.
Like he's like telling this doctor, he's like, oh, I'll get you anything you want. It's like you hear yourself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And like Willie Stark using the children's death towards the start of the movie as a political tactic was questionable in terms of the story, because obviously they're portraying it as Willie being evil with
But
the
in the
ominous music
ending, oh my god.
and showing him almost smirking at the funeral while this stuff is happening, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go mad for power or something.
Yeah.
But that's not really the character, like you're saying, that was set up prior to that scene.
Yeah.
And nothing makes that shift happen.
Like
So-
it makes sense story-wise for Willie to do this. He was the one saying, we need to invest in this, that, and the other thing because something bad's going to happen. They were all like, oh, you fucking stupid idiot.
Yep.
And then a bunch of children die in a fucking fire alarm accident.
Yep.
And then all the parents are like, Willie, we should have listened to you. And you were right. He's got like this like weird evil smirk. And that's the setup. Like, that's the problem with Act 1 is like, Willie's actions are presented as noble,
Yep.
but the
But they're-
filmmaking
oh my
presents
God.
them as like
Right.
taken at face value. His actions are noble, but with the added filmmaking, it's evil. Like
Right.
when he gives that speech, when he's giving speeches in Act 1, you see masses of people lined up with fucking tiki torches and like standing like
Yep,
flames, fire and brimstone, like the fucking Unite the Right rally
Yeah,
from
it's-
2017 with this big fucking photo of him in the background as he stands on a fucking balcony
Yes, dude.
above the masses,
Right.
like Hitler.
Yeah, and you know what's really weird about that too is like, even aside from like the weird, awkward, disjointed filmmaking and terrible whatever, the smile itself during the funeral would be appropriate in like a cartoonish kind of movie. I don't feel like it's like a real,
No,
like a
this is supposed to
human
be
thing. Because
serious,
like,
yeah.
even if, let's say, this man were like a sociopath now for some reason, he would not express that and then give away that he's an evil man. Like, this movie, God, you remember that scene in Godzilla vs. Kong from 2021?
Which
where,
one?
Okay.
2021.
No,
Where,
which scene?
where Godzilla beats Kong and Kong goes down on the ground and the camera goes into Godzilla and he smiles?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why the fuck would Godzilla smile? Like, so this
He's
is
about
exactly
to
that.
shit directly on King Kong.
Pretty much. I mean, like, to me, that's like, that'd be appropriate in like a cartoon, but I don't know. So in that sense, it's like, okay, you're clearly painting him to be this weird villain, but you're also kind of not with the other half of the movie. This movie has the oddly specific title of the worst edited Best Picture winner ever. I'm calling it. I don't think there's a worse one
There's
so
some
far.
pretty bad editing.
I don't think
one.
there's a
Oh,
worse one.
dude, the editing is so bad.
I
Because can I
yeah, you finish.
I think the editing in this film, I can definitely agree with you, Jake. It's not like the editing itself is like atrocious because it's bad, but it's not like the worst editing we've ever seen.
I
But
think it is.
but the fact that the editing doesn't portray the correct emotions that it's trying to convey
Mhm.
with improper cuts, improper shots, and improper music during them, I will agree with you.
Right.
Because I think there's worse like cinematic editing in some of the other stuff. Like Hamlet's just a fucking play. There's nothing cinematic about that shit.
Mhm.
But this has cinematic editing, but it's used in the exact wrong way.
Yep.
There's one interesting shot, and it's when the drunk driver car's coming at the camera, and the camera jumps out of the way.
Yep.
That's pretty interesting. But as the one who does like the research for these films, I've been able to like detect patterns and kind of predict when a movie's not going to be good. And it usually comes down to what I can find about the production
Yep.
and what I can find about the reception. Because if there's not a lot of like noteworthy things about the film, about its impact or about how it was made,
Yeah.
that usually means it's going to be a forgotten one, which to me usually signals it's not going to be one of the good ones.
Yep.
For what tipped me up for this one is when I was reading about the production and it was described as a film that was, quote, saved in the edit. And then I got down to the Academy Awards and it was nominated for editing, but didn't win. That was a fucking red flag and a half.
This is a black and white flag because the film's not in
Yeah.
color.
And then, like, it also had best screenplay, but it didn't win for that. And I was like,
Dude, I don't understand best screenplay. The screenplay sucks.
it does.
It really does. The editing, fucking good dog shit. The screenplay and dialogue, the dialogue was bad from the start. I know Mud in the first scene was talking about how he liked the dialogue.
There's one good scene of like the mob boss and Willie at the
I
start of
didn't
the
like
movie
that.
rattling spears.
I didn't really
It was
enjoy that.
It was good. And then
But-
obviously the speech, but those are the only two
Yeah,
good written
the
scenes.
dialogue is just so boring. And you know what? I wouldn't hate this movie or dislike this movie. I don't hate it. It's. We'll get to the score when we get there.
Yep.
But I feel like this movie is trying to tell the story of this guy while being impartial, but it feels like anti-socialist / communist propaganda.
It does, and a lot of that really kind of hampers down the movie. Like I said during Miss Miniver, our recording of Miss Miniver, that hey, 99.99% of the times, if a movie panders it hampers the storytelling. And I'm trying to think of exceptions. I really can't.
Rocky 4. That shit slaps.
Okay, that's the point. Oh, 1%.
That shit slaps.
Even then. But no, so this movie totally falls into the Miss Miniver trap of, remember how that ending was like completely retooled and reshot? Imagine that, but it's 2 hours long. The whole thing was retooled and reshot to be
This
shorter.
movie
It
feels...
wasn't reshot. It was cut to shit.
This movie just straight up feels like propaganda. It's like 1984 socialism edition.
It's like, it's pre like blatancy of Red Scare, but we're getting there.
Dude,
We're getting
it's
there.
so bad because it's portraying different kinds of politics as bad and evil.
He straight up has secret police.
Yeah, like it's like, and he talks about, he's like, oh, hospitals for people, food for people, we're gonna build this, and it's like, yes, these are all good things and a good ideology to have. And then he's also murdering people, and it's like,
the two things don't add up.
yeah,
Because we don't see his fall from grace. We don't see what changes him. We don't see why he suddenly decides that, like, he needs to be, like, a dictator.
Yeah.
I do understand that trope of, like, the folk hero is a tyrant, where, like, they have good intentions, but, like, they think that what they believe is best, so they don't let other people have opinions.
Yeah.
You know? And they're like, I'm trying to save everyone, but they're really hurting more people by being so in control.
Yeah.
I get that. Willie is not that
No.
at all.
Because we don't see his transition.
We don't see his transition, but more importantly, he looks, acts, sounds, and just bees a mob enforcer. Like,
Yeah.
his son kills a lady in a drunk driving
They
accident.
beat her father to death.
And he had his men beat her father to death because he didn't want it getting out that his son was involved in a drunk driving accident.
Yeah, and he refused the bribe, and it was going to be all court, and
Yeah,
killed
he
him.
was gonna take Willie to court, and he was like, "Nope, I'm gonna
have you killed.
have you killed." His son ends up in a wheelchair, and the movie strongly implies, if not outright states, that like after a while, Willie doesn't even see his wife and son. They live on the fucking farmstead without him.
Yep.
Could I also say
And he has
something
a
too?
rotating number of mistresses.
I would like to dive directly into.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to finish.
No,
that.
that's all right. The thing is, like, if the movie were supposed to paint him in a sympathetic light and make him a likable character, it could do that and still be a good movie. And if the movie wanted to paint him as like this evil or normal guy that becomes more and more power hungry and corrupt and eventually culminates in like Scarface style, where it culminates in his death,
That's a good movie.
You could also go that route and also be a good movie. But because the movie cannot decide and is a Frankenstein monster of parts of both of those types of movies, it becomes very inconsistent and frustrating. And scenes that should follow other scenes don't, and scenes that follow the scenes that, like, it's a weird mishmash. And again, I think this all boils down to the thing we said at the top, which is that it's an editing nightmare where you took so much context out that we're not seeing their arcs. Because maybe this guy has a real arc from good to bad or good again. Maybe we don't know. But I can't give the benefit of the doubt since I haven't seen those scenes.
And it goes from Willie being an honest politician, and then like the next scene is him hiring Jack to keep his Death Note notebook around of people he's gonna fucking murder.
Right.
Yeah, his Willie's little black book that he says is like a tome of sin and corruption.
Yeah, like
And it's
it
like-
goes from him getting fired trying to find a job before that election to the next part where he won the election and now he's fucking L from Death Note murdering all these dudes.
Yeah,
Right.
It's
Like,
like,
straight up.
like I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know that meme where it's the guy just sitting there and he goes, "What happened
Yep.
to the original plot of the movie?" That's how I felt. Like I thought like the first act was setting up like this guy, he's like an honest politician and he's gonna get in trouble for that because he's fighting the mafia at the beginning of the film, in a sense. You got Lil Duffy, Tiny Duffy, who like roughs him up and he's like, "Oh, you're messing with the wrong people, Willie," and he's like, "No, I'm not. You know, I'm gonna champion
win
the
this
people."
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was gonna be kind of the story, and then he becomes the mafia.
It's really difficult too because like if after watching this weird abridged cut with patent pending worst editing ever in a Best Picture, trademark CakeJamara, I would probably say that like if that 4-hour cut existed in some form and watchable at all anywhere, I would absolutely be motivated to find that and watch it, and I would love to compare them. But since it doesn't, and it's like a freaking million-year-old movie, we're never gonna get like the lost
This
footage.
is what we
of-
got, man.
What we got is what we got, and also it sucks too because this is a beloved movie because it won Best Picture. So in that, well, I mean, look, it won the award, so it's not like anybody's clamoring at
I
the
think
time.
it is in the Library of Congress. universe.
Right. Nobody at the time is clamoring for the Snyder Cut version of this. I keep bringing it up, but I feel.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, go on.
You go. No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, I keep analogizing it to the Snyder Cut, but again, that's another 4-hour down to 2-hour incoherent mess type things, which is why I keep addressing it. But whatever Snyder Cut thing exists for this, whatever Broderick Crawford edition extended character arc, Richard Rosin cut of the character arcs that actually make sense edition of this movie exists. Honestly, the scenes we got act as if those scenes were there and were great, and they're building off that. So without the foundation, they're building off nothing, and it comes across so weird. So
Jake, they're building off the narration.
Yes, more narration. Whoa! I betcha that a lot of that narration had to be like post ADR,
Like
just to
Blade
speed the
Runner
story
style,
along.
where they had to add it all in post to make the story make sense.
Yeah, to like fill in the gaps, even though it really didn't fill much in at all. You know,
It explained away the violent heel turn in Willie's character in a line.
yeah. Wow, way to fucking go.
And there's a montage of him getting handed checks.
Yep.
And he's like, who are these people? Where did they come from? Why do they want to back Willie? What the fuck happened?
There are a
Yeah.
lot of scenes in this movie that could be their own movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Worth of explanations. And story and character and, you know, morals
It's a
and themes.
4-hour movie cut in half into 2 hours is the best way to sum this film up, dude.
Yep.
It really is.
Yeah.
There's an entire character arc missing here.
Yep.
For the fucking
I think for
central
2, Jack's character arc's kind of shit too.
All right. I have a hot take.
Okay.
Hit it.
Jack should have been the one to kill Willie.
I agree. Oh, freezing cold take, bud. Good job. No, I'm
At
kidding.
the end of the movie, Willie is assassinated by
Her
Adam,
brother,
the sister
because
of
the brother of Anne, because
was-
Anne is in love with Willie for some reason.
Who's-
We're also not established.
having an affair and multiple mistresses. No, it was established when she said, "Oh yeah, I'm fucking Willie now."
Yep.
Why? When? How? What?
Yeah, great. Not established.
Yeah, I know. And then Anne wants to marry Willie. Willie is married. He also has like 18 mistresses according to this film or whatever. And then he hits Anne.
Her brother does.
But why does Adam shoot Willie?
Because Adam's the doctor that turned down the hospital position too.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's not that important
I
until
just
that
think it
part.
should have been Jack because Jack is closer than anyone to the corruption.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the end of the film, he's clearly disillusioned with Willie.
Yeah, he was about to leave, and then he shows up
And-
because he thinks Adam's gonna do it, and he does.
And
Yeah.
easily, Jack is the other lead of the movie.
Yes.
So
Jack
film
is
is
the
told-
lead of the movie.
Jack, I mean,
He's the one.
Willie's-
No, it's V for Vendetta situation where Evie is the lead of the
Lead, but the
movie,
film's
but
about-
the film's about
Yeah, the
V.
film's about Willie told through the eyes of Jack.
Bingo.
And it would have been more powerful and more impactful if Jack had been the one to put Willie down because Jack is there the whole time.
Yep.
Mhm.
Sees him as the honest guy, sees us fall from grace, works with him, swallows his pride, swallows his morals, and finally becomes disillusioned.
Yep.
It's a close to his character arc, and I
Mhm.
think it would have been a lot more powerful.
Agree.
I wonder if, potentially, this is me talking out of my ass and just hypothetically, I wonder if the Hays Code had anything to do with that. Like, they had to change it to not Jack because Jack's the main character, and main characters
I don't
aren't
know,
allowed to
because
be
you've
evil.
told me many episodes that, like, yeah, the Hays Code was not this, like, end-all, be-all, mega, super...
You're right, but I like to
Iron
blame
grip.
anything I don't like on the Hays Code still.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't know.
Wow, I don't like this movie. Fucking Hays Code.
Yeah, pretty much fucking Hays.
I'm still hell-bent on that whatever 4-hour cut exists, which it doesn't. But if it did, it'd probably be more coherent.
It has
It'd
to.
probably fix the story.
But
Yeah, but I also wouldn't want to watch a 4-hour long movie.
Well, I mean, you could do it as a miniseries, but that didn't exist in whatever 40s movie this
A
is.
serial.
all right, I'll say
A
it.
series.
I'll say this. This would be an interesting mini-series.
I agree.
I thought you were gonna say cereal for a second.
I almost said serial. You put the word in my mind, but it would be an interesting miniseries.
Can I-
like from ambitious to corrupt?
Can I
Right.
harp on something that this movie does? And
No,
I don't know.
Only praise here.
I'm gonna tiptoe the line of politic talk, so excuse me. I don't like that the movie promotes theatrical politics.
Oh,
Because
it's brutal.
It's theatrical politics is the biggest thing, and one of the biggest
sorry,
things that I feel is wrong with politics,
Mhm.
and this is right in that era where it started becoming more
The
common.
norm. Yeah,
And
we're right on the
Yes.
cusp of McCarthyism too.
yes, exactly.
Where
And-
like literally the policy became, if you disagree with me, you're a communist.
Yes, like we're right on that cusp of performative politics, so to speak.
Yeah.
And just from my perspective, watching this movie gave me the bad vibes of real life politics while I was watching it. And I didn't like it. That's a personal bias,
No, I agree.
obviously. It gave me that 24-hour news cycle politics. Like the worst thing in the country politics.
I hate the 24-hour
You know what I mean?
cycle, man.
Like I feel
Like, it's
and
never
when the newspaper he's like, "Oh, we're swapping a Harrison." Like that shit where they were promoting Willie, and they were like, "No, Willie's too extreme. Swapping a Harrison. How are we going to spin that?" Well, I don't know. You work here. Figure it out. No, I don't. I quit. Like that shit.
Yeah.
Where it's the start of the biased news cycle as well.
News for profit.
Yes, and I fucking hate that stuff.
I hate that shit too, man. It's rough because like it gets in the way of actual like policy making. And you're right, performance politics is what he does because like Willie starts out, he wants to give the here are the facts and the numbers. You know,
the facts and the numbers don't sell, Mud.
Yeah,
stupid.
Just tell them you're gonna rough up the fat ones, rough up the fat pigs, and spread it out. You know, fucking euphemisms and dumbed down words so simple rural Americans can understand that you're with them. You know, get your hands dirty. Go to the Iowa fucking caucus and eat a hot dog or whatever the fuck they do there every 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, go
kiss a baby.
Kiss a baby. Go to Ohio. Do things you'd never do.
Go to Ohio. Do dumb shit. Go to fucking Ohio.
Dude,
no, nothing's there.
You got 18 electoral college votes. You need them.
Like,
unfortunate.
It was that, and then after he became corrupt for no reason that we saw off screen, the lobbying of people paying him to do shit.
Yeah.
Awful. Lobbying is legal bribery.
Oh, how about the end of the movie where he has an army of his voters who he's tricked into thinking he's innocent, standing outside the Capitol building of his state while an impeachment trial's going on. And he tells them over a loudspeaker, if you want me to win, stay here. Dude, I got fucking January 6th flashbacks.
There were some vibes in this movie that I just did not like.
I'll say this movie's got fucking foresight.
Can I also say something too? You could go the likable character route. You could go the evil character route. If this movie wanted to paint him in an evil way and make him go corrupt with power, that seemed perfect. That's okay. You can make this character be theatrically political and all this stuff. You can make this character step on puppies and kill babies, whatever you want to do to make him evil. Yeah. But commit to that. And the fact that the movie does not commit to either means that to us now watching it, instead of it working, it is now jarring, disjointed, and
by the end of the film, they've committed to it. But at the beginning of the film, the imagery and what's being said contradict each other.
Can I make a point about the Jake? I understand what you're saying, but the fact that he's from not one of the two bipartisan parties, if you make him evil, this is propaganda.
Sure, but at the same time, if
he's like not a Nazi, he's trying to do good stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Mud, you gave me a questionable look. I'll explain. I'll expand on that. Since he is not one of the two bipartisan parties in America at this time, at this time. Yeah, I said bipartisan parties. Bipartisan.
No,
Thank you.
Bipartisan.
Bipartisan. My dick down your throat.
We have the same party twice. Don't go political on the show. The fact that his actions start off noble and they make him evil, it's kind of propaganda.
They don't
explain. It's not overtly, but it is.
Can I also clap back a different way? There is definitely a way to make this movie with that is not propaganda. You could certainly have a character.
Yeah, but it's 1940. They won't.
Yeah, but my point is, you could make a movie.
I mean, they wouldn't make it like that now.
With a character that is good, that becomes corrupt, that isn't propaganda.
Yes, that would just be a story.
That's just a story. And that's what I'm saying.
Talked about. That's the story that they skipped over. There's a 4-year time jump in this film where he's like, the next time I saw Willie was in his next election, and by then he'd already been bought. And it's like, what the fuck happened?
Right. So I guess my point is, I'm not inherently against there being a scene where a guy rallies some people or whatever.
I just don't like it in this movie.
But by the end, when he's so overtly like
cartoon villain,
right?
He's being impeached as the audience. We know he did it.
Yep.
The thing is, he's like Lex Luthor level of Lex Luthor president levels of bad.
And also, like, I would argue, okay, maybe in the 4-hour better version, the cartoonish smile at the funeral made sense given the context of the scene, but it didn't in this version because it was part of a weird montage.
I don't know how you can make that.
It would if the tone and style of the movie became like but was kind of a little bit removed from realism a little bit. That would work.
I don't know if this film would be less realistic if it was 4 hours long, but I can't keep harping on like hypotheticals of like, oh, if this was in the 4 hour cut.
Yeah, it's
right.
just not.
Because
I
like,
know.
there is no Snyder cut.
You're
bro.
right. I'm really hung up on it just because the movie wants it to be that way.
Yeah. It just, when they were editing the film, the editor basically said to Rosin, like, get the idea of every scene, keep that part in.
Yeah. Yep. Just hack it down, baby.
Hack and slash. You remember that film we watched a couple years ago, Jake? Operation Finale?
Yep.
Where every scene feels like it was cut in half?
Yep.
I feel similar to this. Like, there's a scene very early on where Jack goes home and he meets with Anne and his mom. And, like, they're arguing about something. And Jack's mom's like, oh, tell him, Anne. And then it fades to black and it goes to a different scene. We're like,
what did she tell him?
what happened?
That's a lot of the bad editing, too. A lot of weird cuts mid-sentence.
It just... This film barely holds together. And I think there's a plot hole in this film.
Is it the fact that there's no plot because we skip over it?
No. So there's a character in this film called Sadie who ambiguously works for Jack and or Willie.
She wasn't at first, and then she was?
Yeah. And, like, she sees a speech by Willie, and she's like, what a bunch of phooey. This is back when, like, he's a good guy at the beginning of the film, and he's still being told to run for governor as a decoy to, like, split the ticket. Then Jack and Sadie have a conversation, and Sadie's like, oh, he doesn't have a chance. And Jack, pretending he doesn't know who Willie is like, oh, well, why do you think that? This, that, and the other thing. And they talk. And then Willie comes in, and he's like, how'd I do, Jack? And Jack's like, you did great. And they leave. The next scene, they're in an apartment or some sort of hotel room. Sadie is with them.
Yeah.
For some reason. And then Sadie comes out and tells Jack,
You
know you're a decoy, right? Unprompted. No need to tell him this. I don't think the guys who are running him as a decoy want him to know he's a decoy. She's even like, they could have paid you to do it, but you're stupid enough to do it for free. But she also very clearly hates him.
Mm-hmm. But then she fucks him later on. She's mad he has mistresses.
Yes. Sadie's a terrible character.
Off screen. Wow.
Mercedes Mccambridge did an amazing job acting as her. She's a terrible character.
Yeah.
But then that's what prompts the really good scene where he gives that speech. Where he's like, I'm one of you. I'm being tricked and puppeted around by the powers that be. And I feel like that's a plot hole because, like, Sadie unprompted is like, hey, by the way, you're a fucking puppet.
Yep.
But she hates him.
This movie is really kind of jarring, frustrating, and draining. I only have one more note. I got bitched so much at the beginning that I just burned through everything. I'll say my note, though. John Wayne turned this down, as mentioned during the fun facts. After watching... Oh my God, no. There are so many long speeches that Broderick Crawford delivers quickly and effectively, and now I'm just imagining John Wayne droning on for like 80 years.
Let me tell you, Pilgrim.
Oh my God.
I'm not a cowboy
like
in this one. I don't want to do it.
I was in the dirt. It's unpatriotic because Willie said he was going to build hospitals for poor people.
Yeah, because, like, Broderick Crawford, he talks with, like...
He has verve.
He's got verve. He's got...
John Wayne, not a good actor.
Essence.
This guy, a good actor.
Yeah, no, but John Wayne delivers the exact same lines the exact same way every
I'm John
single
Wayne,
time.
Pilgrim.
Yeah, that was John Wayne Willem Dafoe.
Did you guys know? I can't do a John Wayne.
John Willem
Dafoe.
John Dafoe.
I can't do a John Wayne that's not
Willem
Willem
Wayne.
I can't do a John Wayne that's not Willem Dafoe.
I'm proud of you.
I don't have anything else to say.
I don't like this movie.
I've said my piece. This film, in the sense that this film oddly echoes the future, interesting, but there's a whole movie in here that needs to
There's
happen.
3 movies in this movie, and it tells the worst one.
Yeah.
Yep. It tells like half of all of them. Kind of.
I guess out of 10s.
Out of 10s, I'm...
Okay, I got it. I slotted this. So I was really, really back and forth when I was thinking about the movie. And I was like, is this better or worse than Zola, Pilgrim? Sorry. So I ended up deciding it's worse. Zola, at least, it was only trying to tell 2 stories and told them poorly. This is trying to tell way too much and doing it poorly. And propaganda. And bad. Like, there's just too much shit here for me to unpack that it's a 3. It's a 3. Like, this sucks. I did not like it. It does not deserve a 4 because 4 is close enough to 5 where it might be okay sometimes. And this is not might be okay. This is just a bad, poorly edited. The soundtrack. I didn't talk about the soundtrack. The soundtrack is awful. Oh my fucking God. happy music during fucking weird scenes, sad music during fucking other scenes, weird romantic music, just beep, 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 beep. Fucking Anne shows up and it plays the fucking song from Casablanca for no reason. And then the editing during the funeral scene where it's playing fucking death, destruction, fire, and brimstone music while he's cutting up newspaper articles and maniacally smiling. What the fuck, dude?
Oh yeah, he has a montage where he's making a collage of all the newspaper clippings about himself, but the music's fire and brimstone. It's
Like,
is he
it's
a good
awful.
guy or is he a bad guy?
I cannot give this movie a 4 because a 4 is too close to a 5 and it's dog shit.
I agree. I'm also giving this movie a 3,
Okay.
but it's one above Zola.
No, so it's a 4. It's
Can
bad.
I just say, during Ian's rambling monologue, yeah, I fucking identically agree with you. I think that, yeah, no, this is definitely a 3. I was also troubling where to slot this, and I also decided right under Zola. I don't know why Zola is so prominent in this discussion, but yeah.
This movie is a lot like Emile Zola in the fact that it tries to tell stories and just skips
It
out on a
tries to
bunch of
have a
shit.
point.
Because the most annoying thing about Emile Zola is that they didn't use the word Jew about a movie about Jewish persecution to some extent.
About a film about a kangaroo court, about a trial that is inherently about the fact that that man was Jewish.
Right, and that's the worst thing that movie did, which is pretty bad. But at least that movie was, like, shot and edited okay. You know, like, it was actually
That movie's
produced
pretty
okay
fucking bad.
to some extent.
Yeah.
Like, filmmaking-wise, whereas this is, like, really
This is
hacked
a
up.
train wreck.
It's really hacked up. I can't get down with it.
So, the 40s as a whole,
3, by the way.
3 by the way.
Guys, we all gave it a 3.
So I'm just gonna say this as a teaser for our
Next
top
video.
10 of the 40s, which will be coming out soon. The 40s as a whole is a real coin toss.
Yeah.
Some fucking dog shit.
I don't
some
know
real
because
bangers.
Sometimes it's like heads or tails, but sometimes the coin will like land on the middle. This is maximum heads, maximum tails.
I'm gonna say it. The only mid is the best years of our lives.
Yes.
Everything else is great or bad.
I'd actually slot How Green Was My Valley as a mid.
How
It's
Green's
awesome.
a 7. That's a
I
good
think it's
movie.
pretty solid. But either way,
Where did I put best years? I didn't.
good job.
Idiot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with that, Jake.
Well, first I'm
on
gonna
the
say
dock?
Lost Weekend is my favorite. Cavalcade's the worst one.
Oh,
Gentleman's Agreement, Hamlet.
Lost Weekend, the best one. Hamlet, literal dog shit.
Wait, we're all a part of each other. That's kind of funny. The Best and Worst Pictures returns in 2 weeks, of course, with the 23rd Best Picture winner ever, All About Eve, which will kickstart the 50s in terms of this show, and I'm very excited for it. But before that happens, check out the Best and Worst Pictures rank worst to best of the 1940s.
We gotta get a better name for that one.
No, that's the perfect name for that one. See you soon, baby.